Okay, guys, I told you that I was going to come up with a new word. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Mission Accepted. And you are superb today. You are the superb. You are the best superb audience. You're so much fun. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know that you guys do so much. You subscribe, you refer, you reach out to us. We love it. We love the interaction. We want to know that we're on target, and you're definitely letting us know that. And I got to do a big reach out. Ironically, we have a large listenership in Ireland. I can't imagine why. I think so. I think you guys picked that up because you are showing very high in the rankings for people that are listening to the show. So thank you very much. I am very excited as always, because you know what? We really get to know our speakers. We really get to know the people that are coming on for the show. We get all the inside back stuff, and I know what's in store for you. Look, let's talk about the mission. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you on a mission right now? Have you decided to pick something up? Are you brave enough? We are. I know you're going to see this over and over and over again. And who knows, you might be listening to this in September on a beautiful sunny day and like, what? But originally speaking, we are getting very close to a whole new shift. We're going to be going over to a whole new year. So what are you going to do next year? What are the changes that you're going to make? Are you going to make changes in your finances? You're going to make changes in your career? You're going to make changes in your relationship? Because if you are, I got someone that you got to meet. And guess what? Oh, she just happens to be our guest today. How did that happen? So I had the pleasure of meeting this woman a number of different times. She was my saving grace on this last tour that I did on the East Coast. I met her originally on an online networking event that a lot of us did in this last while. And so one of the cool things that's starting to happen is all these beautiful people that I met online, I am getting to meet them in person. And what a different experience. We know that, right? And anyways, I was traveling through and having a bleep in my travel plans, as does happen. Her and her family came to the rescue and said, hey, come stay here for a couple of days as my plans changed. And it was fantastic. So I got to know Whitney on a deeper level, and we had some great time together. So one of the things that I love about Whitney is that she talks about relationship. And you know what? She talks about it in a way that we all talk about it. But when we talk about it, we talk about it with our friends, kind of like, oh my gosh, da 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 da. And we tend to maybe say the same conversation. And it's an area of our life that we may be wanting change in, but we don't really know who to talk to. Or an expert that we can trust, because it's a big deal. Like, this is your love, this is your relationship, this is your wants, this is, things that maybe aren't going well. And maybe you're at the point where you think it's all you, or you think it's all them. But I personally am not the expert. Whitney is the expert. And I can't wait to hear how she decided to choose this career. Who chooses the career? Who decides to wake up one day and go, I'm going to be a love coach? So Whitney, what made you decide, I'm going to be a love coach? What's your story, girl? Welcome to the show.
Oh, hi, Deb. Thank you so much for that very kind and generous introduction. It's kind of a crazy story, honestly. I did not expect to be a love coach. I don't think most people do. I struggled like heck in my own relationships in my early years, teens and 20s, definitely anxiously attached and sort of on the desperate side. And then I had my son at 24 and became a single mom and trying to date in that way. And it was a mess. Back then, I was so stressed out. I remember my dentist telling me that I was grinding my teeth at night. And I said, no, that's not at night. That's all day long. I am so tense and so stressed. And thank God I found help around when I was 30. I found a therapist and a coach that I found online, and things really turned around. I shifted my energy. I was less stressed. I was more in my feminine essence and energy. And that's when I met and married my husband. And that was wonderful because I had really been struggling in relationships. I remember one guy I was with for a year, and I just thought the world of him. And yet he was always just sort of giving me crumbs and just giving me a little bit of time and a little bit of energy. And I remember I went kind of overboard for giving him a Christmas gift, and he kind of last minute threw something together. I just knew that it wasn't quite right. And eventually I had the knowledge and courage to say to him, you say that you love me, but I just don't feel loved. And his response was, why don't you just shove down all your emotions like I do?
Oh, hold up. I have yet to hear that. Wow.
Yeah. So that was very telling. And it was when I broke up with him and immediately started seeing Jason, who became my husband. So it was, out of the depths come the triumphs. And
Mhm.
it didn't stop there. Unfortunately, as you know, my husband passed away at 37 years old. This was 5 years ago, almost
Mhm.
exactly to the day. um, and that just completely gutted me and my world. And after he passed away, I just didn't have the same passion for my corporate career. I'd been in talent acquisition for 13 years, nice, cushy, six-figure middle management type of job that I had enjoyed, but I just didn't have the passion for it anymore. And I know that a lot of people out there can relate. And I know a lot of people watching this who are entrepreneurs have had that moment, that shift where what they thought they wanted is no longer what they wanted. I thought that that was what I wanted. Um, and it just wasn't anymore. So I left and I became a matchmaker. I have a degree in psychology and have always had an interest in that. And then working in recruiting, um, matchmaking was this perfect blend of matchmaking or of recruiting and psychology. And it was super interesting. And I have couples that keep in touch with me still who've gotten married, who are still together. I matched myself during that time. And now I've been with my man for 3 years and we live together with our kids and engaged. But I had some clients that I could set them up with match after match and it just wasn't going to work. And there was something happening inside of them. And so that's when I got really curious about that and did my coaching certification and started coaching my matchmaking clients. And then a couple years into that, I left the company I was working for and started my own. So now it's been over 2 years that I have been just coaching and helping women in their love lives and in their emotional lives.
Wow. That is it is unique, but it's such a powerful story. Like when I hear your story, I hear the triumph. It's like, and it's like the relationship between not giving up and staying open and wondering. And I love when, I mean, that was quite a comment that gentleman said to you, but what a blessing. Like, I got to say, thanks for your honesty, dude. Like, thanks for your honesty. Instead of having to, like you said, you weren't getting your needs met. And he's like, well, I'm going to show you exactly how much of your needs I can hit. And then instead of you trying to change him, alter him, talk to him, do all that kind of stuff, you were like, ooh, honestly, sometimes those band-aids sting, but better that than you staying for 2, 3, 4 years trying to make him into something that he wasn't, or maybe wasn't willing to explore and open. That's incredible. And I can't imagine being a matchmaker. When you said that, watching people, because look at, there's people listening, I'm sure, that have had a repetitive pattern, right? And you're watching people, no matter who they're matched up with, not have the level of success that they want. And to be able to step back and take a look and say, is there something about me? I mean, I think in relationship, even when you take on being an entrepreneur, I always say, particularly in the direct sales industry, because a lot of people come into the direct sales industry and they have an idea, they want to start a new business, but they don't realize that most direct sales companies are a product with a, personal development program. Because when you decide to become an entrepreneur, you meet yourself. You're like, I didn't know I procrastinated. I didn't know I had fear. I didn't know that I felt, small in a room of people that knew more than me. I didn't know that and because really, I think that's what, business can be. It's like, it's just this big personal development journey. Yours is not only a business of personal development journey, but it's a business that has personal development journey. So you kind of double down on that. So what are some of the things, Whitney, that people come to you for? And is it really true when people say their relationship affects every area of their life? Like, Does it affect their health? Does it affect their finances? Like, what have you seen on your end?
Yeah, absolutely it does. I mean, living with someone that you care about and you have fun together and you share finances and all of that, it's definitely going to affect so many areas of your life. I remember being in unhealthy relationships in the past and having days where I just couldn't stop crying, or I was just obsessing or really emotionally distraught, and it would affect my work, it would affect my friendships, my parenting, all of that. It's really important, but what's even more important than your relationship with your significant other is your relationship with yourself. And that was sort of not planned, that I would be teaching people how to have a relationship with themselves and how to love themselves, but that's become a really big part of what I do. I can't hear you for some reason. I see your mouth moving.
Okay, so we had some technology. I don't know what that was about, but let's just pick up where we left off because it continued and we can put it together anyways, because that's what technology is. So you were talking about you were surprised about teaching people how to love themselves.
Yeah. So I kind of thought, because I had this experience with matchmaking and I know how to use the online dating apps for the in the best way, and I have all of this skill, I thought at first when I was starting coaching people that I would be teaching them how to date, teaching them how to, like the typical how to. And what it has become, just based on the people I've worked with and the transformations I've seen, is I always now start with your relationship with yourself. Are you taking care of your own well being, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally? Some people take care of themselves in one way and not another. And so that's really a foundation of all the work that I do. Another foundation of the work I do is embodiment. So I have discovered that many people just want to zone out and disconnect from themselves. And then they wonder why they have internal conflict and unresolved issues and subconscious blocks. And so we got to get into our body. And then self-compassion is the best foundation for self-love that I have found. Self-compassion is a 3-step process. It counteracts your stress. It helps you calm down. It teaches you how to self-soothe, teaches you how to be kind to yourself and stop judging and criticizing. And of course, when you learn to have that kind of relationship with yourself, you are more likely to have that kind of relationship with your significant other.
Right. So let's talk. So it's kind of like you just laid a little format out there for people. So one of the things I think people get stuck on. So when you say the word embodiment and get into your body, so for some people, they're going to think yoga. Some people, they're going to think sports. Some people think I got to go for a massage. Some people are going to go, what? So embodiment, is that like some kind of spiritual, holistic word I've never heard before? So what are some suggestions that you have for people to get in your body and recognizing that a lot of times we're just functioning. We're not really, what would be your answer to that?
Yes. So the word embodiment is kind of this big word for a very simple concept. It's just being fully present in your own body, inhabiting your own body. And that may seem weird because how can you not? But mentally, we can check out. We can be watching TV for 3 hours and not realize that we're hungry. We have to go to the bathroom. We're not realizing what's going on inside of us. If you constantly feel confused, like, I just don't know. I don't know if I like him. I don't know what to do. You're not in touch with your body, because when you're in touch with your body, you're in touch with your intuition. And we've discovered now that we have more neurotransmitters in our gut than we do in our brain. So we as humans try to put all the emphasis on our mental capacity all the time. And it's just not always, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes we get stuck in our head with anxiety and ruminating and overanalyzing. You know, he texted me this. What does this mean? And she's asking every single friend she's ever, and looking at all these YouTube videos. And it's like, sometimes you just have to turn inward and trust your own self and intuition. And it's not hard to learn that because we're all born with that, but it does take practice. And some people have really gotten out of that habit so much. So embodiment, yes, everything you mentioned, sports and yoga and all of this are ways to be more embodied. What I teach and practice with my clients is feminine embodiment. So I primarily work with women, though I also work with a matchmaking company and coach their clients, which are sometimes male. And so when I'm working with women, and I teach them about masculine and feminine energies and polarity. So that's another huge topic that many people have misconceptions around, or, but when we are a feminine woman and we want a masculine man, it's important to really tap into our femininity. So I teach a practice. It's very simple. We just put music on and dance, basically. But it's, you want to start out sort of getting into a meditative state with your breath, bringing your focus down into your body, closing your eyes, and then just starting to allow your body to move and see where it goes.
That's awesome. And look, you guys, you can do that as you're listening to this right now, as long as you're not driving. And maybe while you're driving, just move your hips a little bit, keep your hands on the wheel. The other thing that you talked about was self-love. So self-love is a word that we see on journals. It's a word that we see everywhere. We can buy jewelry with self-love. You can buy t-shirts, hashtag I love myself, and all that good stuff in relationship to preparing yourself to be in relationship with someone else, or self-love. I know that you probably spend a lot of time with your clients really getting them to have these experiences and move on. But in relationship to being able to attract the person that you want to be, or becoming more feminine, I think it's an interesting conversation, right? Because there's been a wave of people claiming their own, and women, if you're talking about women in particular, women gaining their power and setting boundaries. And so the perception of women is that they're masculine, but on the inside, they're wishy-gushy feminine. And where do women, who are we anymore? I mean, male counterparts tell me they have the same thing. They're like, do I open the door? Do I not open the door? Do I pay for the bill? Do I not pay for the bill? They have their own, dynamic going on in terms of how things have changed. But I think as women have become more taken ownership for their dreams and things, tell me about that, because that is a common conversation that I hear quite often. And I'm not in your field, but it's like, man, I'm too strong for them. And I'm like, and I'm a successful woman, or I make the same income as them, or they're intimidated and I don't know what to do. My sisters say, be proud. And, I got to be feminine over here. What does that mean? Do I have to give up something?
Yeah. So number one, I think a lot of women nowadays think of femininity as weakness. And that's just not true. It's not right. So we all have a masculine and a feminine side. It's not about gender even necessarily. It's our yang is go for it, create structure, achievement. And our feminine side is the opposite. It's relax, go with the flow, emotionally express. And both are important and both are powerful. And we, thank God we had feminism, the feminist movement. Thank God that we have every opportunity to, I've talked to women that say in the 70s they couldn't even get a credit card, let alone own a house, didn't have the same job and financial opportunities. So thank God that we are equal now. However, the pendulum has sort of swung so far in the other direction that we live in our masculine energy almost all the time. At school, it was all about sit still and do the work and make things happen and achieve. And then at work, it's the same thing. And then we go on a date, and if we're bossing the guy around because that's just what we're used to doing, then a healthy masculine man is not going to enjoy that. It's not going to feel good. And so a lot of the women that I've worked with are very successful, and they have a very well-developed masculine side. And it doesn't mean that they look masculine or hold themselves. There's so many different variations. It's really personal, even femininity. I mean, if you look behind me, I've have color schemes and have created what I find to be beautiful and filled with plants and books and candles and all this. Like, it's very feminine, and it's my way of expressing it. I like pink. It doesn't mean that someone else has to like pink. Whatever someone has inside of them, in that feminine side, it's important to explore it, discover it, and express it. So it doesn't work to just say, here, wear this pink tutu, or here, wear this, or put red lipstick on, and then you'll feel feminine. Like, no, it's very unique and personal to every person. But we have to understand that it's a balancing act, that if you're always go, 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 then sometimes we need to also stop and rest and go with the flow. And, when we do the feminine flow, it's a very sensual kind of movement, rolling hips and rolling body. And it just feels really good. If you are a woman with a natural feminine essence, but you haven't been letting it out, and then all of a sudden you learn how to tap into it and let it out, it's not work. It's super, super fun.
Awesome. Awesome. I think that's giving people lots of information and also visual, right? Also visual. So it's really interesting. And I think you get this as we're doing a show, I tend to hear questions, and I'm like, okay, so even though that we may be, shooting, months before someone sees this, like we're doing the video, but of course this video stays forever, and someone may find this a year from now. I get to hear these questions. And so you talked earlier about being, a master in relationship to dating apps and that kind of thing. So the world has gone online. There's generations that hate that, but have succumbed to it, right? You see it all the time. It's like, well, it's my first time on here. I didn't want to go on here, but I didn't know what else to do. And, and there's the whole different profile. And then of course there's a generation where this is how they date. This is, instead of going to a bar or a party or a barbecue or what have you. So in relationship to the online dating, is there some tips that you can share with people that generally would be just better for them?
Yeah. So I get the question all the time. People say, what dating app should I use? Where's a dating app that has no BS, no one night stands, no fake profiles? And unfortunately, I've yet to see one that is that perfect. Right. I do have an article, a blog on my website, which is whitneylovecoach.com, that talks about, I think, maybe 10 different websites, dating apps, and what they're good for. So the thing is, it's really about you and how you use it, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I could tell you what grocery store to go to get healthy food, but the truth is most grocery stores have some sort of healthy option and unhealthy options. So every dating app has some good people and some that you wouldn't want to date. However, Plenty of Fish, OkCupid, I don't recommend those. They tend to have a lot of I say that online dating is like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Right.
And a lot of people just get so distracted by all the hay that they give up looking for that needle. And I say, don't get distracted by the hay. Just let it roll off your back. And that's why it requires you to have a good relationship with yourself, to prepare yourself for that, to become resilient and be able to go through that process, and also to have the right filter. I also hear from a lot of women that say that their filter is broken or their picker is broken because they just pick the wrong guys. But that's a reflection of yourself. And I know people don't want to hear that. And I'm not about blame or shame, not at all. It's not like it's your fault. It's just you have the power to change the dynamic and relationship. So if you are online dating, only swipe when you're in a good mood.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Whitney. Yeah.
My cats are having a moment.
Are they having a moment? Okay, good. Awesome. Picking up on the good vibe. So
Yeah.
only swipe when you're in a good mood. What else?
Yes. Have compassion. Realize that,
Mm,
so many people are so judgmental. They swipe and they're like, ugh, ugh, and they just hate everyone and hate everything. And what's the point? You're just putting yourself in a bad mood. And if you've done that, you know that feeling of despair and so just think of it as a needle in a haystack. All the hay, just let it go, keep looking, brush aside. There are certain apps that are better for certain people.
mhm,
If you're over 50, match.com tends to be pretty good. It has more
mhm.
serious people and they're paying. Hinge has sort of taken over. Everybody's on Hinge, everybody likes it. It's pretty well run. It has very specific algorithms. So if you are going to go on, I help my clients before they even start, because those first 4 days that you're on the app, it will determine who you get matched with and how long, because these dating apps, honestly, they want you to stay on their app. Like they don't necessarily want you to meet Mr. Right in the first week and then you're off the app. They want you to keep using it. So there are
Mhm.
certain things you can do to make the most of that algorithm and sort of hack it. And then it comes down to the communication. How are you talking to people? And one thing that research has shown is, hey, what's up is the worst possible introduction. No one wants to respond to that. It shows no effort, no thought. And the best thing that we can be looking for and doing is just being present, right? Being
Right.
present, being conscious, being in the moment. So instead of sending out the same mass message to everybody, be personal, be unique. Point out something that you see in someone's picture and ask them a question about it, or ask them a silly question. You just don't want to have those same old conversations. Hey, how are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm just making dinner. Oh, what are you having for dinner? Like I hear it all the time. It's the same stupid conversations over and it's boring and it's not fun. So guess what? Stop waiting for everybody else to entertain you and start making it fun for yourself and others. Like be the
Yeah.
light. And that's
Yeah.
my favorite part about what I do with people in the online dating, because I don't think anybody's like, oh, I love online dating. Like most people feel quite the opposite, can't stand it.
Yeah.
And, there is a way to use it that's fun. Um, there's a lot to learn about masculine and feminine energies and polarity and
Mhm.
how to get a guy to ask you out without telling him what to do or leading him, but still giving him information and not sitting around waiting. That's
Mhm.
that's no good. If you're sitting around waiting for someone to text you or waiting for someone to get back to you and you're like, I'm the girl, I can't reach out to them, that's BS.
Yeah.
There's just ways to do it.
There's just ways to do it. Wow, you've given so much information. I want to kind of give people where to go. You did give them a website on where to go. So look, um, I have a couple more questions for you, absolutely. But this information that you're sharing, this is all on the website that you gave us. You've got, yeah,
Yep,
yep.
whitneylovecoach.com. You can download a free gift that is 3 shifts to manifest your ideal relationship. And you can also book a one-on-one love life strategy session with me. So if you're struggling, if you're unsure, if you just want to talk to someone about your love life, talk to
Mhm.
me. I can give you probably better advice than your friends that you typically turn to.
Absolutely. Or,
Expert.
online, right? I mean, I think in an area like this, look, you guys know, I have gone over and over and over it again. People are like, how did you do this? Or how did you become successful in this? Or how did you do this? I've been an entrepreneur for 31 years. Look, the truth is, and you guys know it because I share it and I'm transparent. I have either been seeing a business coach, a counselor, an expert, an advisor, sometimes at the same time in my life, pretty well the last 30 years of my life. There's times where I've needed to address, family issues or personal issues. And then I'm seeing a counselor or a therapist to work through some of the stuff that comes up. And if you've been around for 30 years and think you don't have any, we've got a message for you. We've got a big coaching program for you. Sometimes there's issues in certain things. The one thing that I have loved, like for me, I love having someone who's really experted in one area. I just finished doing a big training, for you guys that know what I do, top performance training. And one of the things that I say is, don't go to your bank teller or bank manager to ask about your divorce, right? I mean, who are you talking to about your relationships? And who are you talking to about your finances? And who are you talking to whether you should sell your home or not? Are you talking to professionals in that industry? Or are you talking to your buddy, your friend, the person that you love and cares about you? But do they have all the details? Do they have all the data? Do they have all the knowledge? Is this their study? If it's general stuff, absolutely go ahead. So, hey, are you on TikTok? Are you doing your business on there? But honestly, if you talk to a TikTok expert, they'll tell you why, if, and whether you should even be on it. So when you talk to someone who's a love coach, you're going to get that detailed information. And I think it also allows you to open up more. Like if you're going to talk to someone, at least that you're going to your doctor you're going to your doctor for a reason, because he's an expert. You don't go to your dentist and say, I've got an earache, how can you help me? Or I've twisted my ankle. So I think it's at a certain point, your experts shorten your time, give you the results in more of an efficient manner across the friggin' board. And your relationship is no different. And you're right, Whitney, our relationships really impede how we feel about everything. I think if you're in love and all of a sudden you get a bill that's twice what you thought you were going to get for renovations, you take it a little easier than if you, if you're single, frustrated and online and hating everybody that you're swiping, right? You're like, I think that bill lands a little differently. So honestly, so let's switch it up a little bit. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about you. I'm having conversations with people and, they do what you do and you're a love coach, but what's something that we don't know about you? What's something that outside of your profession that you've done or that you want or is on your bucket list, like something about you?
Sure. So I love to dance, and I danced growing up, but I started kind of later and in high school. And so I started doing ballet over the pandemic, and I do it mostly online and by myself, but it's been so fun and it's such a great workout. And it's been really fun. So I'm going to try to get on point shoes here now in my 40s. So yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. It's always interesting to hear the other side of something, or someone. And bucket list. What is something that's on your bucket list? Like that you just, could be big, it could be small, but what's on your bucket list?
Yeah, definitely more travel. I've traveled a bit, and then, the last few years it's been less, but I want to go to Thailand. I want to go to some places around Asia, which I've never been to. So that's definitely on my bucket list.
Awesome. Okay. So look, you guys, you have her website. There is one question that I'm going to ask before we wrap up. But look, if you love what Whitney said, then you know to reach out. But also I want to let you know that Whitney is going to be part of this big, incredible 262 project that we've been talking about. And we have just added some extra pieces onto that. So you guys, you're on the Facebook group, Mission Accepted Media. Go onto the Facebook group. You're going to see some really cool stuff that's gone on. I'm going to say expanded the project in a way that we are now the absolute largest readership and speakership that has ever been done in international women's history. So we are going to make history, but most of all, we're going to leave legacy. That's really what we want to do. If you want to be sitting where Whitney is and you want to come on the show, well, it's super tough. It's so hard to get in touch with me. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of deb@debdrummond.com. It's pretty tough. So reach out. Again, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sending the articles. Thank you so much for sending the interviews and the reviews. We absolutely love them. And you know what? We need them, because the more you review, the more that these incredible speakers and people that come on for an interview get seen and heard. So the last question that we have for you, Whitney, is I love music. We love music. It is such a healing power. I'm sure it's one of the things that you tell people to do. Like you're a dancer. It's like, one of your self-loving techniques can just be go dance, go sing, have a relationship in the shower with your shampoo bottle. So you're going on your way to a desert island. Hey, maybe you're going to, a desert island near where you want to go. And it's just you and you have bring in your suitcase, and you have in that suitcase room for one album. What's it going to be, girl? What's it going to be? The album that you couldn't imagine not listening to for the rest of your life.
Oh gosh, that's really hard because I like so much different music, like very eclectic.
Hmm.
And uh, one album,
The
I
album
don't
that you couldn't imagine not listening to. That's what it is.
I don't know. Some of my favorites are kind of on the melancholy side, so I wouldn't want
Yeah.
to like Sarah McLachlan I've always loved, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
really want to be listening to
Her
melancholy
on a desert
music by
island.
myself for perpetuity. But yeah, something probably fun and happy and upbeat, like I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a final answer. Probably, yeah, probably something kind of poppy. If it was one album, I would prefer to have a mix. It would be a playlist with like different
Yes, and I know
artists of
it
different
could be a
genres.
greatest hits. So it could be a greatest hit. So whose greatest hits album would you want to take with you?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe Shakira. I really love Shakira.
All right. All right. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you so much for sharing all those tips. I'm sure you guys are feeling inspired. And I think that's really what love is supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be an inspiring experience. Sometimes it's a growing experience, right? And sometimes if it's not going in your direction, well, you now know who to call. So I love your title, Love Coach. It doesn't get any more clear than that. Whitney, I know that we're going to be seeing you soon in the 262 project. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on today. Again, thank you for hosting me in your beautiful home with your family in New York. And you guys, we will see you again. Keep being groovy, keep being fabulous. And I will say bye for now. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much, Deb.